Corn and soybean futures ended the day on the plus side of unchanged, but were below session highs. Wheat futures were lower after yesterday's big move to the upside. Lean hog futures mixed, and the cattle complex shot to the upside on reports of big gains in the cash feeder cattle market and another rally in beef prices.
Live from Chip Squared Day via Farm Journal Studios, this is AgriTalk. This afternoon, it's a conversation with Chip Nellinger from Blue Reef Agri-Marketing. Directly following the news, Matt Bennett from agmarket.net. I'm handsome newsman Davis Michelson. Now, say hello to the host of AgriTalk, Chip Flory.
All right, Davis. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, it's full of chip. Way too much chip today.
No.
Way too much.
Double stuff, baby.
I think I'm going to take off and let you have the conversation with Nellinger.
I would love to. I'd love to get a chance to see what the other chips have to say about things.
Yeah. We're all interested. All interested in what the other chips have to say. Welcome to AgriTalk. I'm your host, Chip Flory. That is Davis Michelson.
Hello.
And we've got Chip Nellinger on the show today. It's going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, he's always fun.
Yeah. This beef market, my goodness gracious, it just shot to the upside. I don't know if we're going to – we might have to talk about it a little bit more at the end of the show. But a big rally in the beef market. There's reports coming in from the cash market, sale barn receipts, that this feeder cattle market has just absolutely caught fire. I know that there's some fat cattle trading at the sale barns, over $2 a pound. It's Davis, cattle market's back on fire.
Yeah, and if we're talking about feeder cattle moving, that's an encouraging sign.
Well, I tell you, the feeder cattle market is generating some good profits for the cow-calf man, but it is taking a bite out of the profits for the feed yards and the cattle finishers right now. There is no question about that.
Yeah.
So a lot of ground to cover in the conversations today. Let's go ahead and get started. What you got in the news?
You bet. Well, December soft red winter wheat futures opened slightly lower and near session highs. It dropped to close near session lows. The contract posted an inside trading day on the chart, pointing to consolidation around the $6 level. The winter wheat harvest as of Sunday was 54% complete. Chip, that typically marks the peak of harvest season hedge pressure. Today, improving conditions for the spring wheat crop weighed on prices, as did the lack of a crop headline out of Russia. December HRWD wheat futures were 6 1/2 cents lower at 608 3/4. December SRW wheat down 7 3/4 to 604 3/4. September spring wheat closed at 631, down 1 1/4 cents. Looks like sixes across the board here, Chip.
Yeah, but it feels like the wheat market just decided, boy, one day to the upside, that's enough. We can't handle more than that. And we sat back from that one good rally that we had yesterday. Tough market to build the upside momentum right now.
December corn futures opened slightly higher, rallied to spike resistance at yesterday's high at mid-morning, and then fell back to close low range inside the opening range. New crop corn futures have traded on both sides of 420 for the last 3 sessions. That indicates the corn market may be settling in for a period of consolidation until more is known about crop potential. USDA rates 67% of the corn crop in good to excellent condition, down 2 points from the previous week. Corn rated poor to very poor stands at 9%. That's up 2 points on the week. Corn also found support today from USDA's announcement that Colombia purchased 100,000 metric tons of U.S. corn for delivery in the current marketing year. September corn futures were a penny higher, all told, at 408. December corn up 3/4 of 1 cent to 421 1/4. March corn futures closed at 435. That's up 1/4 of 1 cent. Chip.
Yeah, boy, when they were trading 4 or 5 cents higher at mid-morning, the corn market felt pretty good. Falling back to close fractionally higher, that's not what the bulls wanted from that corn market today.
November soybean futures opened a tick lower, then rallied to test resistance at 11.25 before setting back to post a low-range close. Soybean meal futures were an anchor on the bean market, even with bean oil prices solidly higher. Support from the rally in crude oil futures gets credit for supporting bean oil prices, but unwinding long meal short oil spreads was also noted in today's trade. USDA rates 67% of the soybean crop in good to excellent condition. That's unchanged from the previous week, with 8% rated poor to very poor, also unchanged on the week. August soybean futures 4 1/4 cents higher at 11.50 1/4. September beans up 3 1/4 to 11.10 3/4. November soybeans closed at 11.13. That's up 2 cents on the day.
So August soybean meal did come back and closed $1.30 higher, but August bean oil up 101 on the day. So a nice rally in the bean oil market. 2 days in a row, big gains.
The USDA says 50% of the cotton crop is in good to excellent condition, down 6 points from the previous week. Meanwhile, 17% rated poor to very poor, up 3 points on the week. December cotton today was 40 points lower at 72.70. Man, 17% poor to very poor.
Yeah, and we still can't get a rally out of it.
Yeah, yep. Another surge in boxed beef prices as traders expecting higher cash cattle bids this week. Heavyweight choice graded boxed beef jumped to $1.79 this morning to get this, $330.97. August fat cattle today were 82.5 higher at 185.10. August feeder futures gained $3.72.5 to 261.10. And on the snout side, June lean hog futures today 2 1/2 cents higher at 89.22.5. The October contract gained 17.5 to 74.27 1/2. Chip Flory.
All right. Thank you very much, Davis. Matt Bennett, agmarket.net, joins us right now. How you doing, Matt? Hello, Matt. What are we missing?
I don't know.
Apparently he's a little shy today.
Matt Bennett is not a little shy today. I don't think he's shy any day.
Not even for 330.97 feeders? I mean,
box
choice
beef?
graded box beefs? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that'd be enough to make anybody a little bit shy on what's going on out there. So that beef market, it just keeps every time I think that's enough, the market has done enough, it goes forward and makes another high. And until that stops, Davis, I don't think that the Packers are going to back away from this cash market, at least not in a significant way. And with that happening, it's going to be hard to break futures, no doubt about it. We got Matt at all?
Have we?
No, we don't. That's
I'm going
weird.
back to October fat cattle. I mean, we're back up to 185.65. Maybe 190 is in play again for the October fat cattle contract, Chip. You want to go there?
Oh, I don't
Let's
think
get
there's any
completely crazy.
question about it. The cattle futures, are trading at a discount to what's going on in the cash market. Cash market is mid 190s. We've got some isolated examples of prime beef trading at over $200 a hundred, and it's and that's on the hoof. That is on the hoof. So there's some really impressive action happening in this cattle market, and when you get right down to it, it's the fact that the demand just continues to come into it. That is keeping this thing going. We're not overwhelming it with supply, even with the heavy animals that we are slaughtering right now, and the demand keeps chewing right through it. And hamburger demand is great. It's really good. All right, stay tuned with us. We've got Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing, coming up next here on AgriTalk.
Knowledge is power. We're here to charge your batteries. AgriTalk. Don't judge me, Stackler. Seems like an awful lot.
Oh, good grief. So what if Davis is playing drinking games during the show?
Well, I mean, grow-getters. They keep saying grow-getters. How can you not pay attention when they say grow-getters? I mean,
I
how
don't
many
know.
times do you need
What
to
is
say
grow-getters?
grow-getters?
What is
Grow-getters?
grow-getters?
It's the most groundbreaking, infotaining podcast that YouTube has ever known. I don't think they even have the bandwidth to carry it all of the action that goes on in the Grow-getters podcast. But you, too, can check it out on the Farm Journal YouTube page. Don't forget to like and
It's
subscribe.
like the usage meter just goes
Yep.
buzzing right off the the charts, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's
It absolutely
twisting the
is.
dial.
I'd slow it down if I could, Chip.
You can't. You can't.
Just get out of the
out
way.
of control.
Let
out
her
of
run.
control. All right, welcome back to AgriTalk. I'm Chip. That's Davis.
Yep.
Let's bring in Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing. Chip, it's good to talk to you again. How are you?
I'm great. Good to be with you, Chip. I like that earlier, Chip squared, or as I like to say, Chip happens.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh,
That's what's
like
happening
that.
today.
Chip
That's
happens.
what's happening. It's been too long, buddy. How's things been? You okay?
Yeah, doing well, doing well. We're enjoying some cooler weather over here. Got some rain there a few days ago. Crops really needed it, but the market thinks the crop's made. We got to get through July 1st and make sure this heat doesn't come back, but things are looking pretty good right now in this area.
Tell me more about the crop needing rain, because that is just a foreign concept to me this year, dude.
Well, we're different from you guys. Certainly, it's kind of the tale of two corn belts, as it oftentimes always is. The Mississippi River a lot of times kind of is that cutoff, and I know out your way you'd want it to stop raining for a little bit, right? And we were really begging for a rain, but we got one. It's gonna push this crop along, but a lot of ways to go in this development, right? I think that we're really probably in the Eastern Corn Belt. We really had two planting windows, right? There was a little bit of crop planted very early, and some of that's shooting tassels, pollinating.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of crop that's thigh high to about waist high right now. That's really going to be going through a critical time, with pollination and grain fill here a couple weeks out. And there are some hints in that long range forecast of the heat coming back, especially kind of in the southern tier of the Corn Belt. So we'll have to see. Things look really good right now. I know that there's a little bit of everything out there, from really, really good to stuff that's pretty ugly. And you guys want it to stop raining, and we want it to keep raining, and everywhere in between. So it's a mixed bag this year for sure so far.
Certainly is. Certainly is. Right now up in northeast Iowa, we've got corn from chest high down to corn that's going to need every bit of July 3rd to get to get to knee high by the 4th of July. I think it'll get there, but it's going to take all of tomorrow to make it happen. So quite the variability in the crop out there. So Chip, what does the corn market have built in right now as far as yield or crop, however you want to think about it? Is it something around 15 billion bushels, more than 15 billion bushels? What is it?
Yeah, I was asking myself that earlier this week, yesterday actually, and oftentimes you kind of get a little better feel for what crop size the market's trading after the action that we've had here, though. After the the stocks and acreage report last week, I got to believe they still think a 180, 181 crop is possible and maybe in development. Now, a week from Friday, we got the July crop report. We'll get a little better snapshot from the USDA to see what the reaction is to whatever they put up. And they probably won't change it. I don't know that there's any reason to change it yet. I still think personally, though, everything you've thrown at this crop so far, from the dry weather early, too much rain out your way, everything in between, that a 180, 181 is a real stretch right now. But I think the market in general still thinks that's a very real possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's some that are thinking that there's even more than that the market is trading even better than a 181 and full acres. With this drop that we've had down to 420, it just feels to me like, Dr. Michael Cordonnier started to cut off some of the harvested acreage numbers. He's anticipating a lower harvested acreage percentage on corn, so lose some bushels there. What happens if it's just, quote unquote, just a record yield of a 178, something like that with fewer harvested acres? The market has still got a lot to figure out, doesn't it?
For sure. And that's why, it's just, I feel like I'm on my soapbox here. I just really despise the June acreage number. I think in today's
Go ahead,
day and age,
get on it.
Yeah, I know. It seems like you maybe put me on the calendar right around this time frame because I go on a rant, and I don't know. I just really think that there needs to be some serious consideration about maybe changing the way they do that, especially in late planted years, right? I mean, this information they started taking at the end of the May, first couple 2-3 days of June, we had a lot of crop to plant. We still have, apparently 3 million acres of corn to plant out there. At this
What is
stage, is
it?
it
12
really
million
getting
bushels of
planted?
beans, or 12 million acres of
That's
beans.
it boggles my mind. And the problem is, to your point of the market's going to be debating this until the January crop report. It's even a convoluted system when they start releasing the prevent plant acres in August. My recollection is that takes 3 months at least. They start the preliminary numbers in August. They follow up in September and then give you some sort of final number in October. But that's not really a cut and dried. Here's the number. I don't understand with the technology we have today, farmers being able to certify, have deadlines on when they certify their acres for crop insurance. We should be able to punch a button and figure out exactly what was planted and exactly what was prevent planted with a sample size of somewhere north of 95%, which is pretty solid. They call elections on way less info than that. So that's my rant. Unfortunately, they are going to be debating this until the January crop report. And the fact of the matter is, by then we may have played out this market, and it may not make as much of a difference if we do see some big revisions in the planted or harvested number in January.
Yeah, it's a good rant. It is. It is it's a legitimate gripe or concern, whatever you want to call it, that you're talking about here is in. What I get to is trying to figure out how to get the best information as quickly as possible into the public's hands. And that gives us the best chance of end users responding to conditions, of producers to respond to conditions. The sooner the better on the info is all I'm saying.
Don't disagree with you. Don't disagree with you. And this year especially, it'll be a frustrating few months because we're going to be talking about this until January, unfortunately. And, at the end of the day, I do get it. I still think that yield, a 5 bushel yield swing in corn one way or the other is, 7 times more important than a million and a half acre swing in plant. So, yield is the biggest issue in the end result, but it sure would be nice to get some accurate data. And I just think planting info as of the 1st of June, especially in later years like this, it's for all intents and purposes useless.
I agree. The outlook, the yield is what is going to have a big impact on the outlook and what guys do to market this 2024 corn crop. But what happens if in September of 2025, after we get the September 1 grain stocks report, that they have, and they've done this before, that they have to make an adjustment to the production from the year before? That's waiting way too long to give producers and end users the signal that they need to do an accurate job of what it is they need to do. It's tough.
And we've seen that multiple times.
And that adjustment
might
come on acres. So
yeah, for sure. And you say, you know what? Boy, we were right back then, but now it's 18 months down the road, and we've had a crop and a half and a southern hemisphere growing season, and it just doesn't matter anymore at that point in time.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't matter, but it does, because we could have done better, and we always wanted to try to do the best we can. And you mentioned it, Chip. The technology that is available, it's being used, but the question I have is, could it be used more efficiently? And and get some better answers. Okay, we're both going to move on. when we get to the next segment, Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing here on AgriTalk.
Let's go to the markets page at profarmer.com and check today's closes, where December HRW wheat futures were 6.5 cents lower at 608 3/4. December soft red wheat down 7 3/4 to 604 3/4. September corn futures were a penny higher on the day, 408 there. December corn futures up 3/4 cent to 421 1/4. August soybeans 4 1/4 cents higher at 11.50 1/4. November beans closed at 11.13. That's up 2 cents today. December cotton 40 points lower on the day to 72.70. On your livestocks, August fat cattle today 82.5 higher but 185.10. August feeder futures gained $3.72.5 to 261.10. And July lean hogs today 2.5 cents higher at 89.22 1/2. Get more market news every market day. Visit tryprofarmer.com. Opinions expressed on AgriTalk do not necessarily reflect the views of Farm Journal Broadcasting, affiliate stations, or sponsors. The chickens have come home to roost. Find out whose fence they're perched on today on AgriTalk. Hey, Chip.
Hey, Davis.
Oh, no, I meant our guest Chip Nellinger from Blue Reef Agri-Marketing. Hey, Chip.
I got a question for you, Chip. Actually.
So you're from Blue Reef Agri-Marketing. I'm curious, where is this Blue Reef, and does it happen to be near the Blue Lagoon? This is my question.
It probably is. We've been searching for it for about 20 years. We still haven't found it.
Okay.
But it's close. Now, the name actually comes from the book, The Blue Ocean.
Say that again? The Blue Ocean?
Sorry about that. The Blue Strategy is kind of where the name of that came from, Davis.
Okay, interesting. All right, I was just curious there. So you don't have a map to the Blue Lagoon, then, is what you're saying? You can't offer that?
I don't, or I'd be there. I'd be there already.
Fair enough. A man after my own heart.
Oh my gosh, the
I think
Blue
all my
Lagoon
questions
is
are answered,
getting closer
Chip
to my front door out here. I think we've had 1.6 inches of rain in the last 24 hours here. It's still raining. It's 75 degrees. It doesn't look like it's going to get any better for the rest of the day. Yeah, that's me complaining, guys. What you got going on?
To lift your spirits. You need Brooke Shields to lift your spirits a little bit. We're here. It's 94 degrees and sunny, but it feels like 104. So we're a little toasty over here in Kansas City.
Holy smokes, dude.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah.
That is hot. All right, let's get let's get back to the conversation with Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing. Chip, the funds holding a big short position and a big I shouldn't say a big percentage, but a higher than normal percentage of the open interest are the funds short in the corn market right now. Is that enough to suggest that everybody is leaning on one side of the canoe, this thing's got to tip over and we can get a short covering rally? Or is it going to take some kind of a fundamental trigger?
I think it'll take something fundamental. I mean, just look at soy oil, right? Funds had a record short position in soy oil, had a little bit of friendly fundamental news, and everybody had sold it that wanted to sell it. And then there's no one left to sell because they're all short, and the market goes screaming the other way when the funds have to cover their shorts. So, in the short run, the funds are going to move it. Friday's bearish stocks and acreage report added some bearish momentum. I would say we are pretty well leaned in one direction on the canoe. To tip it over, though, and get them going to the other side, it's going to take something fundamental. And that could easily happen because we talked before the break. I think the market's assuming that everything's great. It's likely not. If it stays 82 and rains every 6 days, for the next 2 months, that might be a different story. But if the heat comes back, that might be something initially that could give you a short covering bounce. We also talked, just a 5, 6, 7 bushel swing in yield potential is going to have a dramatic impact on the carryout because demand's so big. And so, we've got the makings for a short covering rally, but we're going to have to see the high pressure ridge come back, some threatening weather in July or August, early August, to kind of get the funds wanting to come out of some of their shorts and take some major profits.
Okay. All right. The friendly news for soybean oil, was that the rally in crude oil? Is that all it took?
Well, I don't think that hurt. And, crude oil being where it's at, holding north of $80 and kind of approaching, $85, certainly has put a lot of profitability in the ethanol and renewable and biodiesel standpoint. But there's some trade spats going on in portions of Southeast Asia, and that had the palm oil market rallying. Also had some data out earlier this week about just how fast the renewable diesel fuel industry has expanded. And so there's some positive fundamental news going on out there. Crude oil's part of it, the profitability in the industry's part of it, and then some potential trade ramifications in Southeast Asia that might affect, the availability of palm oil being put into China. And so that has the funds running for cover. So it won't take much in beans or wheat or corn to cause some short covering, but it will, I think, take at least some sort of a change in the fundamental outlook, or at least a perceived threat to yield or a perceived threat or change in the fundamentals somewhere along the way to get the funds, out of this big short.
Okay. Good crush numbers on soybeans for was it for May or was it for June? No, it was for May, wasn't it?
Well, it's been pretty consistently good. We had one miss along the way, but crush numbers have been just fantastic for 7-8 months now. Other than one little hiccup, and I think that was more to a little bit of maintenance and maybe a day less on the calendar for that month, but pretty strong demand out there. I don't expect it to stay strong because there's just massive profitability out there right now.
Yeah. Well, and then the corn crush was pretty doggone good for ethanol too, wasn't it?
We're grinding, what we need, and even exporting what we need on corn. That's been kind of the unsung hero out here because they're not just the numbers that get everyone excited. They're not 60 million, 70 million a week, but quietly we're exporting 30, 35, 38 million a week, and those numbers consistently, they add up. So demand out here seems pretty good on corn, especially right now.
Yeah, certainly does. Okay. Go back to that quarterly grain stocks report with the amount of corn that's held on farm. It was no surprise. That's been the talk. But how does that influence market action going forward?
Yeah, it's certainly going to become potentially a wet blanket, around the market. It's a head scratcher to me. If it is out there, the basis would tell you that a little bit something different, but maybe it's just the fact that producers have the bin locked and they're not opening that thing for a while. But if we don't have any type of a threat or a scare to get that short covering rally you were talking about, and rally into the end of July, first part of August, if we just stay depressed and the farmers unlock their bins ahead of new crop, this thing could get really ugly if there is as many stocks out there as what that quarterly stocks report would indicate. And, again, I think that's better data than what the acreage number is. But there's some volatility there and still some questions. But it is something that really is it could hang over this market on corn for a while. Now, the opposite, I think, could be true in beans, even though on paper it seems like there's a lot out there. Spreads being inverted and basis still pretty strong in most areas. It just makes you wonder if there's really that many beans left out there. But it certainly appears that there could be a big amount of corn that needs cleaned up sometime between now in harvest, it could be a little bit of a disaster if it holds to the bitter end and we have a big crop and no short covering between now and fall.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you noticed if somebody needs to get their hands on some soybeans, they just put a $12 bid out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was talking to somebody earlier. You look at some of these inversions in the bean market, and then if you would have told somebody, an old floor trader from Chicago 20 years ago, that we've got the bean market inverted, we've got strong basis, and we're at contract lows, something doesn't make sense in that equation. But here we are, nonetheless.
That's exactly right. It's a new game. It's a different game, trying to figure out what exactly is going on and what the signals really mean that are coming from the futures and from the cash market. Okay, the conversations that you're having with clients. What do you? I'm not looking for anything specific. Just kind of your general attitude on moving this 2024 crop, Chip. What do you want guys thinking about?
Yeah, I think at the heart of it, in corn especially, let's figure out what you really think your yield is right now and what crop insurance coverage you have. Because if you have a high EPH and high coverage level, we're not that far from crop insurance levels. So don't panic into anything as far as sales go right now. Be ready, willing, and able to sell and reward a rally if you see it in the next 6 weeks. Obviously basis is part of this. Storage is going to be part of this. So that conversation is different for everyone. But at the end of the day, I don't think these levels in corn and beans, corn especially, warrant, panicking and selling a bunch down here after all the selling pressure that the funds have thrown at us for the last month and a half.
Okay. All right. What about on soybeans? A different attitude or kind of the same? Be looking to sell into rallies?
Yeah, kind of the same. Be looking to sell into rallies. Beans are, the crop is made in August. A lot of beans are pretty short, especially over here. I don't know about your way. I would think that it's very similar. They can catch up, but, August weather is going to dictate what kind of bean crop that we have. So there's still plenty of time left on the calendar to get bounces in beans, but be ready to sell them, be ready to protect it with puts if sales make you uncomfortable. It's certainly time. And also, I think there's this big, Loch Ness sea monster lurking under the surface out there with South America, right? I don't think on rallies in the next couple of months, it's too early to be talking about 25 production, especially being, they could easily put a 6+ billion bean crop out if the weather cooperates for them down there this winter.
Okay, buddy, we got to go. Happy 4th of July. Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing.
We've cleared the schedule for you. Give us a call at 855-482-5524 and join the conversation. That's 552 followed by the number 4. Join the conversation. Hop on! Right here on AgriTalk, it's your pal, Davis Michelson.
People can email us, too.
Really?
Okay. AgriTalk at host.com. No, that's not right. Host at agritalk.com. Host at agritalk.com. Got this from Dan. 3.8 inches in McClelland, Iowa.
Oh.
3.8. That's so far today, and there's another round on its way.
Where's McClellan? Where is that?
Isn't it Eastern Iowa?
Do you know?
I'll look it up.
I'm not
sure.
I'll
look it up. What do you
I've heard
got?
of it. Yeah. No, I got nothing on McClellan. But thanks for man. What did he say? 3.8 and more on the way?
Yeah.
That's a right dandy soaking.
Yes, it is. No doubt. No doubt. Pottawatomie County.
Pottawatomie County. Okay.
Yep. Southwest Iowa.
All right. Well, thanks for the heads up, Dan. Appreciate that. The Blue Reef remains at large. The Blue Lagoon also at large. I'm curious about Chip. You are there by the Big Muddy Lagoon.
Yep.
Current conditions report, if you would.
Swollen and the river is still rising. It's moderate flood stage.
Okay.
You look at some of the local parks and DNR boat ramps, stuff like that. They're all closed.
Uh-huh.
They are all closed. The gates at Lock and Dam 10 are wide open. They're letting the water through just as fast as they can, but there's a lot of water that has already backed up, and it's spreading out between the bluffs up here in southwest Wisconsin and northeast Iowa.
Well, Kansas City was under flood warning last night for a period of time, and I think they posted another one. I'm not entirely sure. Don't go by me. Look for yourself, Kansas City. But there's heavy rain expected here as well. I'm curious about your spot there. You are right on the river. You're blessed with a beautiful little spot. Aren't you worried that your place is going to flood? What's the deal?
We're not going to get right now. The forecast is not for the river to get as high as it was a year ago. Okay, or in spring a year ago, April of a year ago, and at that point, the sandbags and the plastic on the doors were necessary.
Yeah.
But it was also up to about almost 21 foot. Right now, we're at about 18. So there's still room to go.
Okay. Well, we wish you the best, man. Be safe.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I'm curious. Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing, all joking aside, he's looking for a fundamental catalyst to turn prices higher. Okay. But it's the same thing that we've been talking about this, for however long. It's a multi-stage process. Stop adding short positions. Exit those short positions, then add long positions. I'm curious, when he's looking for a fundamental catalyst to maybe shake that up a little bit, do the funds care about the fundamentals? I feel like those guys typically are more technical traders, aren't they? Or even just relying on algos?
Yeah, but the fundamentals can provide a jolt to the market that influence the technicals and the algorithms and everything. Okay, so like on Friday of last week, June 28th, when we got 120 more bushels of corn in the June 1 grain stocks, when we got 1.4 million more acres of corn planted than what the trade expected, that was a big enough shock to the market to accelerate the downtrend. Well, if it would have been just the opposite, 120 million bushels fewer, 1.4 million acres fewer, I would have anticipated the same kind of a reaction to the upside. That then would have changed the technical outlook. It would have triggered all the warning signals out there that it is time to get out of these short positions because we've got some issues out there. See, and the thing is, I was thinking, and Sean Hackett from Hackett Financial said that we need a fundamental trigger. Chip Nellinger today says we need a fundamental trigger.
Yep.
I was starting to think that there's enough age on the short positions that the funds are holding that maybe we don't even need a catalyst anymore. Maybe the funds are going to get tired of being short and it's time to roll out of those positions. But my thoughts are in the minority on that, obviously.
Yeah. I don't like this on-farm stocks setup here.
No.
At some point, do farmers just need to hold their nose and sell a level that will work? I mean, at these current levels, and I'm looking at this basis report from Pro Farmer from last week, corn basis firm 3 cents to 4 cents above the July. I don't know if that's very exciting or not. Dude, how do we get that corn to move so that we don't get ourselves into some weird thing where now we have to panic sell?
Boy, that's a good question.
Because you want to clear the space without going broke. basically.
Right. The calendar might have something to do with that. Cash needs might have something to do with that.
Okay.
If corn is still sitting, if a big chunk of last year's corn crop is still sitting in an individual storage, they probably don't have a whole lot of cash needs happening right now. So time or the right bid.
Yeah.
Or the right bid, and the bid just hasn't been right. This is wild. The National Weather Service 6 to 10 day outlook, July 8th through the 12th, has got below normal temperatures moving back into the middle of the country. Southern Minnesota, eastern South Dakota, eastern Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Iowa, and then a lot of Illinois is in that area where below normal temperatures are expected. That's a lot of corn around that. And we've got the below normal precipitation also starting to make its way into the middle of the country from the northwest. In the 8 to 14 day, the above normal temperatures come back in for July 10th through the 16th. Thanks for listening this afternoon. Tomorrow morning, we got the Farmer Forum here on AgriTalk.